Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today we're going to talk about the total cryptocurrency market capitalization again, and we're going to look at the theoretical possibility of a double peak market cycle. So if you guys like the content, please subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. Let's go ahead and jump in. So we put out a video yesterday called Bitcoin, the Beauty of Mathematics Part 6, and in that video we discussed similarities between our current phase, our current market cycle, and this market cycle over here. There are some similarities between this one and this one over here. The last market cycle that we had a more clean approach up, right? It did have a short-term peak here, back down, and then back up. This one also had a short-term peak here, back down, and then back up. So we need to talk about are all of these short-term peaks that precede the major peak, are we able to tell the difference between them in any way? And I think the answer is yes, but it doesn't mean that we can't get useful information to help us identify if we are getting into extreme overvaluation territory in the short term. So let me show you what I mean. So what we're going to look at, this just shifts the curve so you can make them out a little bit more, but I want to show the risk metric. We haven't shown this before on the public YouTube channel, the total cryptocurrency market capitalization risk metric. It goes from 0 to 1. So 0, historically great time to buy. Red, historically great time to sell. And you can see during various phases, we go up to the top, and then we come back down. And then some cycles we go up to the top, and then we come back down, and then continue to rally back up to a higher top. But you can see that the metric would have been good in helping to identify this bubble, right, this short-term bubble, and then finally the end of the macro bubble of the entire market cycle. In the same manner, we got pretty overheated here in 2017 before cooling off and then going on the final run back up to the final blow off top. So we've seen these types of double peaks in the past. Arguably, this one was much more impressive than this one. This one was a pretty significant rally, but this one was actually even more significant. So what we want to talk about is, could we see something like that again? And the reason is because we did look at some similarities between this market cycle and especially this one over here. Now, the first thing I want to do is we're going to take the color code out of it and just put on the risk metric on the secondary y-axis, look at general undervaluation and overvaluation territory. Smart money, very stealth money, I think, coming into the market down here. Let me know in the comments below if you guys are accumulating Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies down in this region. You also would have had the chance to accumulate in March as well during that last chance time to get it below these risk levels down here. And then up here, we're getting into the overvaluation territory, right? Where we want to be cautious and really look to see, okay, we know we can go higher because once we get into it, we've rallied, we've continued to rally on up for a few months. However, we recognize that we're probably getting close to the end game at that point. And when I say close, I'm talking about potentially several months. You can see here we had several months. We came up and then we came back down out of it, back into more of a no man's land where it's not necessarily smart money or dumb money. There's a high probability, or there's a decent probability that it could go either way. Rather than down here, it would seem like there's a really high chance it goes back up, or up here, it seems like there's a good chance it'll go back down. When we're in this region, it's a tough call because we just as easily back here could have continued on back down, but we didn't. And so the risk metric can help us identify these phases when it gets completely overextended in the short term. So what we want to do is we want to see, despite the fact that this peak here and this peak here preceded the final blow-off peak, can we try to identify differences between this one and this one, and then this one and this one? And it all goes back to our fair value line, right? The price divided by the fair value line, looking at the general undervaluation and general overvaluation, and also noting some patterns between this cycle and this cycle and then 2 cycles ago. Now again, a lot of this stuff is just hand-waving type stuff. This market cycle could make the other 2 cycles look this market cycle could look completely different than the last 2 market cycles. For all we know, we'll have 4 smaller bubbles on the way up. Like we had one in 2019, maybe we'll have one in 2020 that takes us a little bit higher, which we did, to 20K. Slightly below 20K, maybe in 2021, we'll have one that takes us slightly higher. Maybe it will. Maybe it'll take us to 30 or 40K before coming back down. Maybe we'll have one in 2022 that takes us a little bit higher. and so on and so forth. So that could be the narrative of this market cycle, or it's possible that we have a double top. And the reason why we're talking about this is we had the conversation in the Telegram channel about it, as well as a lot of people on the YouTube channel were messaging me, commenting on the video, talking about the similarities between this cycle and this cycle, and recognizing that if this cycle continues to play out like that cycle and like two cycles ago, then maybe we are in for a double top, right? Maybe this is a possibility. Again, I would contend that all models are wrong. Some are useful, so we do the best with what we got. We'll be here every step of the way. But in the event that we do get a double top, it might be useful to use this type of a chart to identify, is it likely the macro top, or is it a intermediate bubble like this one in 2013 and this one in 2017, where we came up and then a significant pullback, right? Came up, a significant pullback. It might not look like a significant pullback now, but if you were around in the summer of 2017, it sure felt like a significant pullback at that time. So hopefully this chart can help us identify, is it a short-term, like, is it a micro bubble within the macro bubble, or is it in fact the macro bubble? And I think we'll get a better idea of that if we do continue to move up in terms of overvaluation territory. We know we're about 24% overvalued now. If we were to continue to move up, are we going to reach this upper band, or would we have a bubble that does something like this? Maybe we go up in the next few months, right? Bubbles are always possibilities in crypto, and this would likely happen in the event that Bitcoin, there's a higher probability that this type of thing would happen, at least a short-term move higher, if Bitcoin breaks 20K and starts to move higher itself, because that's generally a catalyst for the altcoin market. So in the event that Bitcoin were to break 20K and continue higher, and altcoins were to follow suit, then we would get rapid appreciation of the cryptocurrency market total market capitalization. And if that were to occur, we would want to recognize if a peak is coming, can we help use the risk metric to identify where that is? And I think we can, because the risk metric, it takes into account time as well. So for instance, here we had a peak here in the 0.9 to 1 risk band, in the same way we had it here in the 0.8 to 0.9 risk band several months before the final peak. So the risk metric can help us identify if we're getting very overextended, help us to theoretically take profits if you want to do that, or if you don't, just recognize that there's still a decent chance that we make it up to this level at some point later on, even if we don't make it there in the short term, right? If we were to make it there in the short term, it would imply that we're going up 10x from here in the next like 6 to 12 months, which I don't personally I don't think that we're going to go to like a that high of a market cap that quickly, but we've always contended that short-term bubbles can exist, and we'll see what happens, right? We'll see if we can break through 20K. If we can't and we go back down, I would say it's still business as usual, because we're still somewhat ahead of schedule, in my opinion. So if we do go back down, I think we're still on the right track, and time is on our side, because I do think that Bitcoin will trend up over the next few years, and it won't trend up in a nice methodical move, right? It could be several micro bubbles that take us up and then back down, but we don't go fully back down to where we were before the micro bubble, or it could be a couple more major bubbles that take place over a few years, right? This one took place. One of the things you can note is if you look at the time between where we entered it here and then where we exited it here, and then overlay that one to this cycle, you can see that it took a lot longer, about 40% longer, to get above the undervaluation territory. And we're not even sure if we're going to hold this. If we come back down and then continue up a few months later, then it'll be even longer. So therefore, this peak happened very quickly. You can see that, going from red to blue, so first capitulation to this bubble here, first capitulation to the 2019 bubble here. This time period was a lot shorter than this time period. And then we came down to this undervaluation and then back up to the top, undervaluation back up to the top, final capitulation compared to the regression band, which is a monotonically increasing function. So it doesn't necessarily mean the price is always decreasing, but it could just be that it's going sideways. And then down to the purple, and then finally back up. You can see this was a rapid move up. This one is a little bit more delayed. So if we were to continue this, then I mean, first of all, if we were to go up like we did with this one, it would imply we go up straight like that, which I certainly don't think that we are going to shoot up in the next 2 or 3 months to, to like say a $2 or $3 trillion market capitalization. But is it possible? Yes, it's possible. Anything's possible. We'll use the risk metric. I use the risk metric to help guide it, and so we'll see where it takes us. To give you an idea, for at least today, for the risk metric to get to around a value between 0.9 and 1, we would need to be between $1 and $1.5 trillion cryptocurrency market cap. If we get to between 1 to 1.5 trillion, then we would be in that upper risk band. However, these levels are dynamic and they change every single day. So obviously, that's just what it would be if it went there instantaneously today. By the time we get there, it could correspond to, say, a crypto market capitalization of 2 or 3 trillion. So I do think that 2021, this is December now. As we're getting into 2021, I do think that 2021 should be generally an exciting year. But don't be dismayed if we stay below 20K for part of it. I still think that would be very, very much on track. And be ready for one of these moves, right? Always be ready for the bubbles that come, because we don't know when they're going to come exactly. Like for instance, this bubble that you see here came only 2 years after this one, right? This one came in 2011. And then this one came in 2013, and then we had another one in late 2013, a few months later. So, this was about 2 years in between. This was a few months in between. This one, as many of you know, is 4 years in between, which is why a lot of people prescribe to the 4-year cycle. Is that this one was 4 years in between? So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see if we'll have a double top, right, where we go up, have a peak at, maybe 30,000, 40,000 Bitcoin, I don't know, come back down, and then gear up for a final move? Or will it be a slower, methodical move up, like we had last cycle? Or a major blow off top, capitulation, and then final run like the cycle before? Let me know what you guys think. Or will it be like the first cycle and basically just go straight up? So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Remember, if you guys want access to this risk metric, we've added it to the risk dashboard on the premium list to check out the Black Friday sale. You can still lock in the lower rate for a few more days. So I'd encourage you to check it out. You get access to the premium videos, the premium reports, the Telegram alerts channel, the Telegram chat room, the dynamic DCA selling strategy dashboard, and TradingView indicators. So if you guys think that would be interesting, make sure you check out the description below and sign up for that. At the very least, subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think this market cycle is going to be known for? Do you think it's going to be known for going straight up? Do you think it's going to be known for having, say, a double peak? Or do you think it's going to be known for having several micro bubbles on the way up? So we go up a little bit, and then it pops, we go back down, we go back up a little bit, we pops, we go back down, but we always continue to take steps higher and higher and higher throughout the years. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye.